All right. Well, this infographic explains how accountability and quality are maintained in Chick-fil-A through quality improvement visits, or the QIV program. It shows how external standards like food safety laws and internal Chick-fil-A standards work together to drive performance in food safety, service, and overall customer and guest experience. Starting with the compliance standards on the left side, we have ISO 22000 and ISO 22002. These are international food safety standards that are built around the uh, HACCP principles, hazard analysis, critical control point principles, and they focus on identifying risks, monitoring processes, and preventing foodborne illnesses before it happens. Then next, we have the Texas Food Establishment Rules, which guides how restaurants are inspected at the state level. And these inspections are risk-based, meaning they look at things like past violations, food handling, and type of operation. At the local level, we have the Harris County Public Health, which enforces the Texas Food Establishment Rules, and they are the one that conducts inspections. So the QIV program allows us to prepare for Harris County Public Health inspections. We also follow the FDA Food Code, which provides national guidance on food safety, including temperature control, hygiene, and contamination prevention. And then on the right side, we have Chick-fil-A's internal standards, which first we have craveable food, which focuses on taste, temperature, and presentation. Make sure that the product meets the guest experience every time. Then we have fast and accurate service, which is measured through customer engagement metrics like speed, accuracy, attentiveness, and taste. They track daily and reflect how well we're executing from a customer standpoint. Our corporate purpose is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that He has entrusted to us and to be a positive influence on all who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And so this serves as an ethical standard. It shapes how we lead, serve, and also how we take ownership of our work. And finally, creating a place that feels like home, focused on trust, belonging, and overall experience for both guests and employees. So at the center of all this is the QIV program, and it aligns the teams and the expectations of execution across 4 areas: food safety compliance, team operations, guest experience, and continuous improvement. Now for the critical analysis. While these standards create strong accountability, there are really key challenges that show up in the operations day to day. First, there's the performance paradox. When we start optimizing and changing how things are measured, things change. In our context, for the inspections, they are structured and predictable, meaning they come at a certain day. They let us know ahead of time what day they're coming, what time they're coming. So that allows us to prepare our best people, set up the strongest stations, and perform at the highest level during the visit. But the issue is it's not random like the State Department the health department visits is. So what gets measured by QRV is not really reflected in day-to-day operations. During an inspection, we can look excellent, but we'll still have gaps during normal shifts. So I would hope that the goal would be to put on our best performance, and then from there, use the people who perform that way to inform how we train the rest. Hopefully that's the case. If not, we won't be prepared. This connects directly to Campbell's law. When metrics are tied to evaluation, people naturally adjust behavior, and then they'll perform better because they're being watched, and this distorts reality. It's no different than in training at Chick-fil-A when you're going from training each station, each area, depending on what your job is. After that training, you have a leader, a high manager come out and evaluate you. Well, of course, the people who are being trained, being evaluated, are going to perform at their highest because they're being watched. But when the evaluator leaves, is that still being the same? Right? So the key question becomes, are we measuring true performance or prepared performance? The second challenge is holding individual employees accountable. Certain areas of the operation can rely heavily on skill, like breading in the kitchen or drive-through order takers in drive-through, specifically ones that can do upselling the best. Some team members are simply stronger in other roles. Their performance increases because they like that particular job, that particular role. What can happen is those high-performing individuals become so valuable that they allow to cut corners, that they operate outside the standard, or not intentionally, but their representation of the standard deteriorates because they do well in other areas. So they might not even be performing the way that they're supposed to, but they're getting sales out. So it's like, okay, well, do whatever you need to. And you can't really have that if we're supposed to be for excellence, and that's not sustainable. So instead of holding everyone accountable to the same standard, it becomes uneven. And then this creates tension because how do we enforce the standard if performance is going to slow down? Or how do we rely, or do we rely on strong individuals to carry results? And if so, how do we disperse some of that responsibility, that pressure to other people so that we're not relying just on this one good shift leader, this one good breader, this one good order taker? The third challenge is creaming or cherry picking within accountability systems. This happens, again, all these three issues kind of line up, but this happens when you intentionally put your strongest people in positions that impact metrics the most. So on your highest days, your most impactful days, you always schedule the same team leaders, the same shift leaders, the same breaders, because you know that they're going to perform well, right? For example, in Chick-fil-A, at the other locations besides the one that I'm at, they only allow order takers outside who perform at their highest, who can upsell whatever they ask them to. Nobody else is allowed. You're not even allowed to go out there unless you can prove that you can upsell, right? So some Chick-fil-A's do that. But when that happens, first, other employees don't get developed. The system doesn't reflect the overall team's capacity, and then the performance becomes dependent on just those few individuals, right? Same thing happens in the kitchen. Strong team members are placed on high-impact areas, while others are rotated to easier roles, and then you have an issue where performance looks strong, but it's not sustainable. So when those key individuals leave, they lose motivation or they get promoted, and losing motivation is probably easy. Something happens outside in their relationship, in their house, with their finances. Something happens inside between another team member. Something happens with their health, or they get promoted, they go to school, they get another job, anything. Then the whole system drops, and now we're not performing at a high level anymore because that one person who drove that performance left. And that's a system issue because the system is not allowing people to develop in those roles. Right? So it's making it look like, hey, we're performing at this level when really, overall, we're not. So the question becomes, are we building strong performance or strong people across the entire team? Overall, these accountability systems are powerful. They must be balanced. We can't rely just on metrics. We have to develop systems and people and consistency. At the end of the day, measurement drives behavior, as we have seen, as we have read this week. But leadership determines whether that behavior is sustainable and whether it's aligned with the overall mission.